Jessica Pegula won the Dubai title and then immediately turned that trophy into a weapon aimed directly at the WTA. And the institution had no answer, because Pegula wasn't just speaking as a champion. As of February 17, 2026, Pegula was appointed chair of the brand-new WTA Tour Architecture Council, which means every word she said about Alexandra Eala and the small court situation carried the weight of official authority. This wasn't a post-match opinion. This was the woman now in charge of reforming the tour, telling the world that the WTA is failing one of the most important players it has ever produced. And the facts backed her up, every single one of them.
Week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a really good player on tour, they all come out to support her. And so I think we saw that in Australia when it was kind of overcrowded. They put her on a too small.
Let's start where this story actually begins. Not in Dubai, but in Melbourne, January 19, 2026. Alexandra Eala, a 20-year-old Filipina ranked outside the top 40, was scheduled to play her first-round Australian Open match against Alicia Parks on Court 6 at Melbourne Park. Court 6, a non-stadium venue. Capacity: roughly 2,500 fans, with temporary standing room added. What showed up was not 2,500 fans. Thousands came. Queues stretched all the way back toward the 15,000-seat Rod Laver Arena. Hundreds of supporters, members of the local Filipino community who had traveled specifically to watch Eala compete, were physically turned away as the court hit standing room-only capacity. They were redirected to outdoor big screens. Let that image sit for a second. Fans who couldn't get into a venue to watch a match happening meters away, forced to watch on a screen outside, while Rod Laver Arena, 15,000 seats, sat nearby. Tennis journalists didn't hold back. The decision to place Eala on Court 6 was publicly called dumb and poor scheduling, and that was just round one.
Amazing. I mean, I played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where did these people come from?
But this wasn't the end of it. Dubai arrived in February, and the WTA had a second chance to get this right. Eala entered the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships, and on February 17th defeated world number 8 Jasmine Paolini, a former Dubai champion, 6-1, 7-6, 5. In that match, Eala posted an 86% success rate on first serve points in the opening set, and didn't allow Paolini a single breakpoint opportunity. Not one. That was the third top 10 win of Eala's career, and it made her the youngest Asian player to record top 10 wins at multiple WTA 1000 events, surpassing a record previously held by Naomi Osaka. And yet, even after that result, some of Eala's matches in Dubai were still being assigned to outside courts, including Court 3. Here's the detail that really drives it home. Pegula, during her own title run in Dubai, said the roar of the crowd supporting Eala could be heard from her hotel room at night, not from inside the arena, from her hotel. Eala was packing outside courts so completely that the noise was traveling beyond the tournament site. Pegula's response wasn't diplomatic. She called the WTA's treatment of Eala disrespectful, described Eala as a rising star, and argued clearly that both a top 5 player and a high-profile newcomer deserve a larger stage, specifically to prevent the kind of chaos that had fans wrapped around the stadium in Melbourne, just trying to catch a glimpse of the action. And this is where things shifted, because Pegula wasn't just venting. On the same day Eala defeated Paolini, February 17, 2026, the WTA announced the creation of the Tour Architecture Council, with Pegula named as its chair. The council wasn't created out of nowhere. It was a direct response to a crisis. 13 players withdrew or retired from Dubai alone. 13. That number was so alarming that the WTA was forced to acknowledge its schedule had become, in Pegula's own words, insane. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka skipped Dubai entirely. She publicly said she needed to protect her body. The council includes player representatives Victoria Azarenka, Maria Sakkari, Katie Vlanets, and Anja Vreg. Tournament representatives Laura Ceccarelli, Alistair Garland, and Bob Moran are also at the table, alongside WTA executives Valerie Camillo as chair and Portia Archer as CEO. The mandate is straightforward: overhaul the tournament calendar, ranking point regulations, and mandatory participation requirements, with a target of 2027. And Pegula's critique of the scheduling isn't a side note for this council. It's a case study. It proves that the WTA is failing to manage its own product by refusing to match venue size with player popularity. And here's where the real picture comes into focus.
It was Eala is the match that I was looking at, and there was people like wrapped around the stadium just trying to get in, which is pretty crazy. And I mean, it's cool to see and it's exciting, but obviously, you know, for fan experience, I don't know, because I'm not living that same experience, but hopefully the event kind of continues to grow with.
The WTA is a commercial organization. The 2026 Dubai tournament carried a total prize pool of $4,088,211, an 11.85% increase from the year before. Real financial commitment, but the withdrawal of top seeds like Iga Swiatek and Aryna Sabalenka threatened the whole event's commercial viability in one move. That's where Eala comes in. Her run to the quarterfinals earned her $98,500 and 215 ranking points, pushing her from world number 47 to number 31. But the value Eala brought to Dubai goes well beyond a prize check. Coco Gauff, who beat Eala in the quarterfinals, publicly thanked Eala for bringing a new demographic to tennis. The Filipino diaspora showed up with a level of engagement, both in person and online, that the sport simply hadn't seen before. At the Australian Open, pre-tournament press conference generated more views than those of top-ranked male players, including Carlos Alcaraz. A player ranked outside the top 40 outpulled the reigning men's #1 in press conference viewership. That's not a small court story. That's a superstar story, one that the WTA was actively suppressing by putting her on court 6. What happened next made the situation even harder to ignore, because the institutional failures didn't stop at scheduling. On the day of the Dubai final, Pegula versus Elina Svitolina, the WTA posted a promotional graphic on social media featuring both finalists. Within hours, fans noticed something was very wrong. Pegula's waist looked, in the words of observers, unrealistically tiny, and part of her arm was simply missing from the image. Pegula didn't stay quiet. On Instagram, she posted, "WTF happened to my body?" On X, formerly Twitter, she followed up joking about having the waist of my dreams while missing pieces of her arm. The WTA deleted the image, uploaded a corrected version, and blamed it on a background removal mistake. In isolation, maybe that's just an embarrassing blunder. But in the context of Pegula's new leadership role, a role specifically created to fix what's broken, it becomes something else. It becomes direct evidence of the institutional incompetence she's been tasked with correcting. And then there's the darker story running alongside all of this. During the tournament, news emerged that a fixed man had been banned from tennis events for stalking Eala. Eala herself acknowledged that while the fan support is heartwarming, it can be overwhelming, and that managing her new level of visibility requires serious security. She spoke about the set of struggles and set of sacrifices that come with rising this fast. Eala isn't just a rising star anymore, she's a target of obsessive attention, of institutional neglect, and of a system that hasn't yet built the infrastructure to protect or properly elevate what she represents.
Things like that happen. I mean, it's you could argue that it was, maybe a poor schedule, and maybe they could schedule him on a bigger court. Yes, but again, she's so young and she's just coming through. Alexandra Eala, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country, which is a big country, and there's a big interest.
The Australian Open organizers did issue a statement. They acknowledged the scheduling row and admitted they'd learn for next year to ensure high-interest players get placed on larger show courts. Dubai's tournament director, Salah Tahlak, confirmed a Phase 1 upgrade, a new 2,000-seat Court 1, and plans to expand Center Court to 7,500 seats. Promises for future tournaments. They don't change what happened to the thousands of fans turned away from Court 6 in Melbourne. They don't change Eala being assigned to Court 3 in Dubai while she was dismantling a former champion 6-1 in the opening set. As of February 23, 2026, Eala holds a career-high ranking of world number 31. Pegula sits at number 5, holding a Dubai Championship trophy and the chair of a reform council with a mandate to reshape professional tennis by 2027. The Tour Architecture Council is real. The mandate is real. The timeline is real. But the question nobody in tennis has actually answered, the one that Pegula's entire stance forces into the open, is whether a council created by the institution it's supposed to reform can genuinely hold that institution accountable. Because if the WTA couldn't figure out to put Alexandra Eala on a bigger court after watching thousands of fans get turned away in Melbourne, what exactly makes anyone confident they'll get it right before 2027?